us as we continue with Yogi Berra remembered, and now another guy who knew him very well, Yankee great, and now Dodgers manager Don Mattingly joins us now. Don, let's talk a little bit about your remembrances of Yogi and the first time that you walked up to him and shook hands.
Met Yogi in 1981, Nashville, Tennessee, playing Double-A, strike season. They'd sent coaches and different people to different levels, and Yogi actually was with us for a while there in Nashville. And just him being around, obviously number one, it's Yogi Berra, but just how nice and just kind of how regular he was and blending right in with the minor league kids and the coaches and everything else, like he was just one of the boys.
Don, we've talked here about how humble a superstar / legend that he was, but one of the other things we've discussed is his baseball knowledge. Do you remember any kind of baseball lessons or maybe even life lessons that he imparted to you when you were such a young kid at that point?
A lot of things from Yogi. I remember I used to like to hit a lot, and he told me one day, he said, hey, you're going to hit yourself right into a slump. And so things like that with Yogi, he would just give you little stuff. And just the way he treated you was so special. I mean, other than the baseball, one of the things for me as a manager that I've learned from Yogi, when you seen Yogi away from the field, it was, how you doing, kid? It was not, you went 0 for 4, we're having a bad time. It's like, that part's gone, and now we're just back to being people again. And so you learn so many little things from being around Yogi.
Yeah, Don, David Cohn here. How you doing? Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. I remember, Donnie, in 1995, your first playoff series. After all those years, the Yankees haven't been in the playoffs for almost 18 years. And then seeing Yogi Berra in the clubhouse in 1995 in those first 2 games at Yankee Stadium. And, I know it was, the only taste you got of the postseason as a Yankee player. But seeing Yogi in that clubhouse, I remember you talking to Yogi, and I talked to Yogi before Game 1 of the 95 Division Series. Can you tell us anything about what you remember in your first postseason appearance with the Yankees?
Well, obviously the appearance and just the thrill of being in the postseason and fighting to get there. But again, Yogi that day is not like trying to fire you up or anything else. It's just having a conversation and just talking baseball, just regular, this is another game type situation with Yogi, where it was not a big build-up and not too much pressure. It was just baseball. And that's kind of what I always took away from Yogi.
It's interesting in listening to you, Don. You think about the way Yogi was, the way he approached the game, the way he approached hitting. It's almost like keep it simple. Don't get too much in your head. I wonder if you impart that wisdom to your players.
Oh, definitely. I think the game, especially today, you guys probably have to deal with it on a daily basis, the amount of information that players have now at their disposal, that we have as you may have as an analyst, I have as a manager. They just throw in numbers and all kinds of different stats at you. And I think the biggest thing you have to do is, how do we get this to the players? How do we keep that information simple where they're able to take enough in, enhances their game or enhances our decision, but it's still more of a natural feel to when you're playing. It's execution. It keeps it back to the point of get a good pitch to hit. Use the whole field, just simple stuff. So he always resonates with a number of things that happen in decisions that you make, but more your relationship with guys, and how do we keep that simple, and how do we just kind of move that forward without getting too complicated.
Donnie, we all know you wore number 23 as a Yankee. You have number 8 as a Dodger manager. I wondered how much Yogi's influence maybe impacted you choosing that number 8.
Oh, that was it. I told our clubhouse guy, he tried to get me 23 out here. I said, no, I want 8. I said, everything's good luck with Yogi. Anything that Yogi touches turns to gold. I wanted number 8 from the beginning. I actually give it to Victorino for a part of a season when he came out, and I wore 88. But Yogi's definitely the reason that I'm wearing number 8.
Don, it's interesting because Yogi never defined himself really as a ball player. He was just kind of a guy doing his job. Do you find that resonates with players today? Players kind of get caught up in the numbers game, stats, the money they make. But he was a guy that every year just had a one-year contract and was out there. And I've said this before. He's kind of like bringing his lunch pail and going to work like an average 9-to-5 guy.
Yeah, well, obviously you don't want to be the guy that's saying, hey, the players are so much different nowadays. I mean, things are different and times are different, that's for sure. But I do think there's a lot of the guys just like Yogi that really love to play, that play the game right, or they just love playing. I think the other part gets a lot more attention, and times are different. I mean, we got social media. Guys are all over the place. Everybody knows them from that standpoint also. But I think there's a lot of guys that are just like Yogi that just love to come and play.
Donnie, that's a great way to put it in perspective. We certainly appreciate you taking the time to join us today on the program.
All right, fellas. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.